All right. Thanks for tuning in to another Laid Back Cycles video on YouTube. I have Mr. Precision Jimmy going to show you how to properly remove your rear wheel from the Rover Internal 8. What's up, Jimmy?
Hit him with some cold steel. Hold on. All right, when you're doing the internal 8, basically, you're going to have a cable that goes from your grip shifters on your handlebar, on your grip, back to the internal 8. The easiest way to do this, and the correct way to do this, is to actually, if you want to focus in on this, put the shifter on number 4. Number 4 puts you right in the middle of the shifting, which in turn gives you a little sight window right here on the actual internal 8.
Had to let it focus.
Yeah. And that little window will match up with a yellow mark that is on that guy. It's right here, actually in between.
Go ahead and...
Oh, right there. That little light mark is the yellow mark that you want to see.
Literally
and
that dot?
Literally that dot is what puts you in the correct place for your shifting. So if you leave that on number 4 and you see that dot, all you have to do now...
Well, that dot is so little.
Yes, is you actually just have to release the cable from that hub, and that allows you...
Go ahead and show the cable removal portion one more time.
So this nut has a slot in it, a little flat spot, and that slot is going to fit right into this C on the internal 8.
Okay.
So once you slide that in there, that's going to keep the tension on the cable itself in order for you to shift.
Okay, but now that it's in number 4,
now that it's in,
and the white dot confirms that it's in number 4.
Yellow dot.
Yellow dot. I'm
yes.
sorry.
So what you do is you put your finger right under where the nut is on, or the nut is on the C clip right here, and you push the C clip just a little bit to release the tension on the cable, and you just pull it out with your hand. That's all you need to do.
So that's easy.
That's easy.
Okay.
You pull the cable out, and the cable end that goes with it. You pull that out with your hand, and you kind of just set that aside to get it out of your way.
Okay. So it is technical, but it is easy.
In a sense.
Once you understand what
Once
you're doing.
Once you understand, yes, exactly.
And we got Precision Jim on the job.
What you're going to need is, the easiest way to do it is to get yourself 2 15mm wrenches.
Okay.
Once you got your 2 15mm wrenches, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, so you're going to have to turn it to the left in order to loosen up the nuts on the back. So both sides need to be done. And there you go. We have the wheel loose. Once the wheel is loose, you slide it forward.
Put some slack in the chain.
Get some slack in the chain. You actually just turn the chain right off with your hand like that. Hold the chain out of your way so you can get the axle past the chain, and your tire is out. Your wheel is out.
And then you could replace your tube or patch your tube, whatever you're going to do from there.
Any work that you need to be done thus far.
All right.
All right, so we have the tire and wheel off of the trike. Now, we're going to put it back on. Your wheel is going to have these 2 washers on both sides, both your drive side and your non-drive side, that has a notch in the washer. That washer is to keep the axle in place in the dropout. Okay. So it has to sit at a certain angle.
That is a dropout.
This is your dropout, horizontal dropout. So you're going to have to keep this notch right into that horizontal dropout so that your cable guide for your shifter on your internal hub will be facing towards the front of the trike. So once you put those in, and those nuts fit into the, the washers fit into the dropout, just slightly tighten up the nut bolts with your hand. Not fully tight, just enough to where it'll slide, but it'll hold the washers in place. Then you could take the chain, push the wheel all the way forward, and just kind of rotate the chain right onto the chain ring. Once you do that, then what you'll do is you'll put your thumbs on the back of the dropout and pull both nuts at the same time to where the chain is nice and tight. Once the chain is tight, you're going to go on the non-drive side, which is this side, and you while looking at the wheel from behind, aligning it with the frame of the trike to make sure that it's straight.
Nice and centered.
Nice and centered. So what you'll do is on the non-drive side, you will tighten that up by hand as much as possible. Then you'll grab your wrench and you'll snug that down. Once you snug that down, it doesn't have to be fully tight, just nice and snug. Then you will grab the wheel by the frame, or you will grab your hand on the frame and you will push the wheel with like your thumb and your forefinger to align it perfectly straight and give the tension, the rest of the tension that's needed on the chain. Then you will tighten the drive side.
So that side you actually tighten or just snug it?
You'll snug both. You'll snug the non-drive side first, push it over, then you'll have the chain nice and tight. You'll snug the drive side down. Once you snug that down, both sides are snugged down, you can let go. You'll see that your wheel is nice and straight. If it's not, you could do any adjusting that needs to be done at that time. But the main thing is the wheel has to be straight and the chain has to be nice and tight.
Have the tension on the chain.
Once you have that alignment set up, and you can take both wrenches again, tighten it down on both sides so that both nuts are nice and tight. Proper torque specs on this is 32 inch-pounds.
If they wanted to actually torque it down to proper specs.
Yes. So what you need to do at this point is make sure that your cable end is pushed back up onto the cable in case that had slid off. That ours actually slid off a little bit. So you could take that end and just push it back on there. You have your cable and you have the nut that actually holds the cable. So we'll feed this back through the frame here and we'll get the end back into the housing that is built onto the internal hub. So the same thing as when we released it.
Touch the housing one more time.
So the cable goes into the to the frame of this.
All right.
This mechanism here, and that's what holds the cable and allows the internal hub to shift.
Gotcha.
So you'll put your finger on the back of that C, and you'll actually push that forward. You'll have some spring tension on there, and then you will slide the slots of the nut.
Let's do the C one more time. See if I get a good video of it. Go ahead, grab it.
So you'll put your finger behind it and push it forward.
Okay.
Or backwards, actually, towards the back of the trike. And then you'll take those flat slots and you'll slide it into that C portion there to where it fits in, and then literally just let go. And if done right, that first little window that we looked at that had the little yellow mark will be visible again. And you'll be right back into that center point.
Not popping up so much on camera, but it is there.
It is there. And it's that little yellow mark that's right there. And your grip shifter should be on number 4. So as long as that's on number 4 and you have it in the proper setup, that should be visible again. Once that's done,
that's it?
That's literally it.
So, number 4. Hopefully that was clear enough for you. And then the cable, so you're not tightening the cable, it's just it locks itself in place.
You don't touch the nut on that, so you don't create any slack or tighten anything on the cable at all. Basically, you just take it off by hand. You do the repair that needs to be done. You put it right back on by hand, and you're not messing with the cable adjustment at all. You want that to keep the same tension and everything that it originally had when it left the shop.
Awesome.
Yep.
So this one was for you, Kishana, and anybody else that's watching. We keep our promises. So if you have a Rover Internal 8, that is how you properly remove your wheel to change a flat or replace a tube and get it back on. All right. Thank you, Precision Jim. See you guys on the next one. If you guys have any questions, 916-304-2453.